Hello world, welcome to my channel, Proteus Augustus. I'm an honest scientist and American Constitutionist. And today is November 8, 2023. Christ woke me up again, to suffer this body. My relationship with Christ is different, right? Christ to me isn't Jesus. Christ spoke through Jesus to all of us, right? It's almost like it is a spiritual experience, but I don't consider Jesus as God. And that's why I never confirm myself a Catholic or belong to any denomination, because my relationship with Christ, right, is my individual relationship. He acts through me. And again, I shouldn't say he, but it's almost an offense to say it, right? Because it is a philosophy of life. It's not about one man called Jesus. Jesus is not to be worshipped. Jesus is to be loved, right? And Christ's message passed through him to us, right, is how our way of life lives, right? Other men want to force this idea that there's this being that created everything. What I argue is it's irrelevant. That makes no point with me. And it made no point with me as a child. I told the priest, I says, listen, a God cannot sacrifice. If the God is omnipotent and all-seeing, how can he die? It's merely a trick on you. No. Jesus' sacrifice mattered because he was a human being that Christ acted through, right? To communicate to us lowly beings, right, that there's a better path of life, and it isn't one with the beast. You must walk away from the beast. You must resist some of these things, because if you don't, you will never advance your mind. Your brain will not develop. Again, it's a metaphor. The path of Christ makes your brain stronger. It's a way to educate yourself in a good way, right? And to understand mercy. It's a path of people who believe in mercy. But it isn't the path of people that will commit suicide, right? That's what Islam is. Islam is anti-Christ. It is against the Christian pet, right? Christ did not act through Muhammad. Muhammad was a warrior. He took all of this and invented it. The Palestinians were not Islamists. It didn't exist when the Jews, right, and their God, their belief system inhabited that region, right? That's why they wrote the Old Testament. That's why they wrote the Bible, to tell their war stories about how this was their land, right? And they fought for it over and over and over again. People coming from the sea and people coming from the desert, right? And that war, and they lost to the Romans, right? Eventually the Romans became Christian, right? Constantine, maybe not because he believes in Christ or Christ acted through him, but he's like a pope. He can use Christ. He understands that a lot of people, right, are more spiritually inclined, so that because they live this mystical life of uncertainty, he can use this to tap into their spiritual world. And that's how Christ's message gets misused. I'm not worthy to wear a cross, no, would I? Christ is not an iconoclast. I can appreciate Catholics and other Christians wearing a cross, but to me, I can't do that. I'm not worthy to wear the cross. You know? Like, John and some of the other apostles, they wouldn't get crucified like that. They would never wear that on their chest. That's how far afield you are from the truth of Christ. No, what you follow is a religion that uses Christ, that took old rituals, even as far back as the Sumerians. In their tales, these things were told. The tale of Moses, right? Well, there's an Apocryphon of John, a more contemporary recordation of the events, whether slanted or not. You have to put a little bit more value in that, right? And he said that the story of Moses was that they were the chosen people, right, of their God. And now this is Christ talking to John, not Jesus. Jesus was done, right? Christ comes back and explains to John that no, they were brought to a safe place. That's a metaphor. You need to know the truth. We saved these people. Now you could go farther on with it, right? And you could look at some of these old tales, right? Like the Anunnaki, right? Listen. Even if it was true that some guy 5,000 years ago got a scribe to tell the story, right? And it is some story. You want to talk about science fiction? Oh my God. We're talking about 5,000 years ago. These people are talking about genetic splicing. They're talking about spacecraft going all over the planet, using Mars, the moon. How does this guy know 5,000 years ago that the Mars is a barren world like the moon? Listen, real smart guy. But you know what? It can never take Christ away from us. Right? Because that was that. Christ is a path and a way of life. It's not a man. Right? And so the popes and these other religious figures in all their garb try to personify themselves, right, as Christ, because Christ was a man. But they say they're gods. They talk to gods. The Pope is a demagogue, right? He's a businessman, right? The Catholic Church is a political organization. It has been for a very long time, going all the way back to Constantine himself, right? I mean, these guys are in the business, right, of governing other human beings. They choose to use theocracy. And that lasted a long time. They had a lot of power. And then you get a guy like Henry VIII come along and say, I ain't having that. I want to get rid of my wives. So I'm going to be my own God. I'm going to create the Protestant religion. Right? We're going to reform. We're going to go through the Reformation. And you know what? These popes didn't help him any. Like the Medicis, right? I mean, they just fucking bankrupted the church, man. These are the things that I learned as a young child that a lot of you don't even know, right? Burning at the stake. I'm like, I'm saying to the priest, listen, I believe in Christ, right? But why do I have to believe that he is a God in order to be part of this church or to be a Christian man? Not to be part of the church, but to be a Christian man. I ain't a Christian according to these people. Okay. I'll stack my life up against any of yous. Right? The only thing that I do is good. And defending myself against evil is good. Because I'm on the path to Christ and you ain't yanking me off it, motherfucker. It doesn't matter whether I'm getting my end wet or not. It doesn't matter what thoughts you have in your mind about who I am. You don't know me. You don't know the people I've helped. You don't know the people I've defended. You don't know what rights I've defended in court. Right? You don't know the vanquished. Right? And you don't know all the scars on my body that they put on me. Right? And what helped me through all of that was Christ, not the Pope, not his idea of what Christ is. Right? If people want to know Christ, you can read the New Testament. You can read the good news for yourself, and you can decide whether some of that's metaphor or whether you take it literally. But what I can tell you, either way, right? That's the path you want to be on. Right? Because when my life was on the line, and it's been more than once, he pulled my soul out of it. And that's all I know. You could call it God, you could call it all you want. But I follow the path of Christ. Right? And, I suppose in a way I'm kind of like a monk to people. I mean, I'm not virgin or anything, but I mean, to the common man, the common man is a whore. So isn't the woman. They're not on the path of Christ. That's unhealthy, people. You're just fulfilling your beastly pleasures. Again, metaphor. You know how many people probably died during COVID, but because they're locked up in the apartment buildings and they can't control themselves sexually, they're not on a path, right? A Christian path, you're supposed to find a woman, whether she's a Christian woman or not. As a Christian man, I could see goodness in a woman, right? I could see who I want around me. I can see who can nourish a child and myself and receive that from me and from the child, right? To understand that, right? I can see that. The person doesn't necessarily have to be a Christian. But if they're on a path of life, if they're confused, they have no direction, right? There's some kind of Ferengi, trying to strip me of whatever I get. Little Star Trek reference there. But really, these women are Ferengis, right? They're out to take everything, right? That's why you get a lot of these guys in the street. These ain't Christian women, right? These are men in female bodies. They don't believe in anything. They could say they're Christian all they want. Hell, I was down at the Catholic Charities in Denver. What a travesty that was. They took the VA money that was paying for us to get fed and housed, and they just threw it in the whole thing. I got like a couple of eggs for breakfast. I had to beg for more food. It's a travesty. These people are a travesty. They're a business. Catholic Charities are allowing all these people to come up through the border to invade our country under some idea somehow that, America is bad or something. And they need to come up here and straighten us out. Well, this is how you get what you got in D.C., New York, wherever, in London. These people, right, that were running Western civilization took a knee to all these other countries to make a dollar. That's why they're not Christians. They got off the Christian path a long time ago, especially the King of England. Listen, I'm going to trash the King of England as much as I can, right? Because he is totally disrespecting his subjects up here in Canada, right? And if I ever had any political power here, I would take them from you, motherfucker. Because those people have a right to be free, right? They got a right to have freedom of speech, right? They have a right to life, right? And you got this Canadian guy, I don't even want to say his name, right? Why? I don't even want to give him the honor of that. We all know who we're talking about, right? You, the King of England, right, and your United Kingdom have people that are not Christians. You're not a Christian nation, right? You're not part of Western civilization anymore. I don't know what the hell you are, but when a government is executing its own people because they just don't feel good about their lives. Listen, if somebody wants to off himself, that's on them, between them and their maker. But you can't have government sanctioning that. You can't have government saying, hey, you want to kill yourself? Please, the door's over here. Line up. What the hell is that? No. The King of England is a devil. He's a devil. And that's why we got rid of a lot of his ancestors. And that's why this is fucking America. Right? And these motherfuckers have been dipping their toe in all of our shit. And they took over this Democratic Party and they're destroying our country with them. Right? All of these Democrats, right, are foreign interests. They are all bought and paid for by foreign money. It is an illegal political party and it has to be abolished. Right? They don't have a constitutional right, right, to exercise communism in this country, right, or to exercise the will of other foreign potentates. And that's what the Democratic Party's doing. And that's why this president of ours is going to meet Xi on our sovereign soil, which I believe is a crime against the American people. Right? They go over and they're bowing in front of this guy. What are you kidding me? I'm a nobody guy. Listen, you are so lucky a man like me ain't the president in this country, right? There's lots of me out in this motherfucking country. I ain't the only one. The reason why we ain't the president is because we're Christian men, right? We have family. I don't have a family, but I've been doing other things as a Christian man. What I'm saying is it takes a certain person to sell their soul. Right? Biden sold his soul and his family into history as the biggest American traitor. The biggest traitor to a country that has ever existed on the planet. Period. Right? Yeah, that's right. I'm saying it. He gonna go shake hands with this beast. This sadist. Right, who takes other people's organs out and smiles across the world and says he gonna do it to the rest of us. There won't be a single white man left on this planet when he gets done with us. Or he'll enslave us. Right? Look at what he's doing to the Uyghurs. Do I have to say the name? Right? I don't care if this is on YouTube, dude, it's a crime. How can you not allow a human being to communicate to the rest of the world the truth of the crimes of the Communist Party? Right? If you take this video down, it's because you are an enemy of the free world. Forget about America. This ain't about America. This is about freedom across the fucking planet. Right? We're the only ones that have any kind of freedom right now. And we're getting under attack by even people in our Congress. 188 congressmen, or whatever they are. Really? I mean, what am I supposed to say? I'm not disrespecting. I don't know what the fuck you are. You get up this morning and decide what the fuck you are? Right? And you expect me to know, oh, excuse me, what are you today? Well, you're absurd people. You're cartoon people. You're all bought puppets. 188 people in Congress could not sanction Tlaib for her racist comments. We have a 14th Amendment here, right? And we got 188 congressmen that are in support of a woman, right, that wants to annihilate and exterminate an entire people, right? She ain't gonna exterminate the whole race. She's part of the same race, and that's how ignorant she is. She's just dark. She's a Caucasoid like me. She's an ignorant person, right? Caucasoids go from dark brown to white, just like Chinese people. That's why Chinese people don't like dark people that are Chinese, and they're the same people, because they think the white people are more important. They can protect themselves. They didn't come from the people in the field, right? Listen, these communists are racist as fuck, okay? Get your brain around the fact that the Democratic Party is the insurgency against the free man in the United States of America. They are on a mission to disarm us and to enslave us, right? So that their families can rule over us, right? That's what they want to do. They're all in the background with billions and billions, way more money than the King of England's got. It ain't even really his money. What did he do for it? What did he do for it? What did this king do for any of that money? He did absolutely nothing. He was born. That's it. His family owned some ground. They made an agreement with the public. Hey, you just keep paying me and I won't fucking kill you no more. Right? What the fuck is that? Listen, let's have a reality and a moral check across the planet, ladies and gentlemen. Right? We got this guy that started COVID and killed millions of you across the globe. And you still want to work with this guy? Right? Forget about the Chinese people. Right? They're the ones that need to suffer, not us. They need to suffer those guys over there that are making this shit happen. Right? And God help them. God help them. Because if that Xi decides to come over here, right? You know, all these gun laws ain't gonna mean shit. And these Democrats ain't gonna be around no more. Right? And I don't care what, that ain't an insurgency. They're a political party. I'm a private citizen. I get to criticize a political party. The Democrats are not the government. The Republicans are not the government. They are political parties. And if I had the fucking money that all these rich Christians had, I'd start my own motherfucking political party. Right? Because these guys are their souls are bought and paid for. Right? They will kill all of us. And when Joe Biden touches the hand of that fucking animal, right? That's all you should need to know. That's not a Christian pet. That's a path of death and destruction. It's a cult of death. And they've been attacking the Christian world. This country is a Christian country. Don't think any different of it. You don't have to believe in Christ if you don't want, but all the laws that protect you every day you get up in the morning come from Christ. Comes from Christian men that fought and died for their freedom and their right to have property, right? And their right to dispute against another man in a civil matter in court without being compromised, right? Without being beaten in the street like a dog because some guy is an evil man and he got the money to crack your skull. No, Christian men fought for a system to stop that. And they have been destroying it my whole life. I can only speak to when I came in on this planet. Right? But by the time I was 10, you better believe I knew what the fuck was going on. And I knew what Christ was. And I knew that the Catholic Church wasn't it. I don't need you. What do I need you for? Right? I mean, the VA paid Catholic Charities to house me. Right? And they treated me like a dog. And then they kicked me out because I complained about them. That's Catholic Charities for you. It's 100% documented. I am not a difficult person. I'm a Christian man. I expect Catholic Charities, I expect them to, at a minimum, right, take that VA money and treat the people, the veterans there, better than the way they treated them. Whatever other charity they got was for the other thing. They had a contract with the VA. Again, these people, they feed off of each other. right? And then these veterans, right? All these employees, right? Act like, they got all this power. Well, they're going to have to answer to the power they exerted against me. Because I'm on a path of Christ, and I know where that courthouse is over there, right? And now I can't even go to the VA because I'm not. As long as I can go see my skin doctor, I'm not setting a foot in that building because the VA over here, this guy threatened me, right? He don't get to fucking call some grunts inside that hospital, right? Just to harass me just for asking for an appointment. Because I want to complain about the behavior, right, of some of these employees, and I don't want to deal with this no more, right? Why do I want to go to a hospital that has a bunch of thugs in it with guns, right? And some insignificant VA employee could have their hair across their ass, and your whole health care goes out the door. They'll drag your ass out of there because of some commie in the VA, right? And well, I'm going to call them all out, right? So anyways, I don't mean to get off, but it's the same thing. These communist principles, these anti-Christian principles is what's destroying our justice system, what's destroying our charity system, right? And has completely destroyed our higher education system, right? I don't need a university to educate myself. No, after I got a requisite knowledge, I went to the university to get a piece of paper. Don't kid yourself. You didn't teach me shit. I had to do what you told me so I could get that fucking paper, right? So I could at least show that I got half a brain, right, to people, right? You be a chemist and do it as a homeless man. Right? The only reason why I got through that is because of Christ. You know how many times Christ saved my soul in my life? Because he gave me the brain. Right? You have to use it. Right? You get stronger. Like I said, it's a path of life. Right? It makes you stronger and it'll help you survive against the beasts that walk among us. Because that's what they are. The fact that they are animals that look like you don't mean they're in a whole nother psychological category. Their whole psychological world is about death and destruction and domination. There is no accommodation for those Islamists, right? Because they believe in a book was written by a warrior and a pedophile. Right, well, put aside the fact that, young girls, when they were fertile, men only lived to like 30, 35. I can understand younger women, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a codification, right, that people use today. Well, who did Christ kill? Right? Christ didn't kill nobody. Christ just said, fuck you. That's what you did. He says, oh yeah? Fuck you. You see this right here? That's what Christ said. Listen. Yeah. Christ said that through Jesus, right? And Jesus was saved. That's why he rose from the dead, because he won. Christ saved him. Christ was always going to save him because of his sacrifice for us. His animal was sacrificed for us. Christ still lives, and Christ lives through us. And even if they kill all of us, Christ will reemerge again. Because Christ is good and moral. And it will make men... Well, there's a lot of smart men that don't believe in Christ. They're not stupid. They're just beasts. And they eventually succumb to the beast. Because they'll get AIDS or whatever. Listen, that's just the way it is. It's not about God saying that these people that died of AIDS were evil. That's not what it is. No, you see, this is what other human beings say to get a group of people together, right? Like all these people in D.C., they don't even know what they're talking about, half of them. Most of them are women and children. There's some dudes there, but ain't enough. Ain't enough. You go and start something, it ain't enough. You find out who the Christian men are in this country. Oh, you will. Because we, like I said in the other video, we own shit. Anyways, I got to wrap this up. This is way too long, but my point is that, if I had to choose between the message that Jesus gives, which is Christ, or the message Muhammad gives, which is the beast, it's a no-brainer for me. God or no God. Until next time, think free, be free, and eat free. And that's food for the mind also, not just for the tummy.